Hello there, and welcome back to Four Times in a Podcast. You join us on the evening of Sunday, the 21st of December. In 2 games since we've been last on, Celtic were defeated 2-1 at Tannadice on Wednesday night, but Wilfred Nancy finally got his first win as Celtic manager with a 3-1 victory at home to Aberdeen. Today there was 2 late goals from Kieran Tierney and James Forrest that saw him seal his first 3 points as Celtic manager. Been a lot of talk on and off the pitch about whether he was going to make it to today, but he did, and finally did get that victory. Full compliment myself, Darren, here with Tony, Andy and Danny as your last Four Times in a Podcast before Christmas, so hopefully it's a good one for you. Tony, it's been a bit of a mixed week. Obviously, I say there's been 2 games since we've been on. I think if we'd have come on after that Dundee United game, we maybe would have joined the calls vocally to remove Nancy, but he's still there and he did get his first win, and it wasn't a terrible week all round because, as I say, he got his first win today, and we also got rid of Peter Lawwell from Celtic.
Yes. So there's quite a lot to kind of cover, so this is going to probably be one of the ones where I kind of bounce about for 20 minutes covering all sorts of stuff, but you'll just need to bear with me. So yeah, Wednesday, Peter Lawwell announced he's stepping down, I think on the 31st of December, and then right away the reason was because he has faced threats and abuse, apparently. I'm not saying that that's right or that's true or false. I think it probably is true to a degree, but they don't really provide any real context to it. Like, what does he mean by a threat? Somebody says online that they want to punch fuck at him? Because people say that about us. I mean, we've had people, I remember the COVID year, there was a guy who just always says he was going to attack us if he seen us. Does that constitute a threat? I don't really know what happened. I heard somebody else say his address was leaked, but I think where he stays was well known, obviously, over the incident in 2021. So I don't know why they haven't provided more kind of context to that. Just again, if anybody is thinking about attacking one of us, if you see us in a pub, please make sure to knock me out before Celtic kick off so I don't need to watch them. So that would be my only request. In terms of the kind of statement that was released, it was the usual kind of... If I'm Peter Lawwell and I've made that amount of money at the Celtic fans, I probably my statement is, look, I've had a threat for one guy or whatever it is. He's obviously had abuse for a lot more, but I'm saying, look, my time at Celtic, I became a multi-millionaire. Thanks very much for everybody that's ploughed money in. I'm retiring now. All the best, and I hope you can find unity and move forward. But no, that wasn't it. It was all about... See, if you need to keep telling people what a great success you've been, it tells you that something's not quite right with what you're saying or what your idea of the success is. And there's this new thing, and I think it first came out at the collective meeting. This whole at the time I was there, we competed in European group stages every year apart from 2 times. Like, we're Celtic in Scotland. It's almost impossible for us not to be in a European group stage. We should be in a European group stage every year. So... see the fact you might have done it most times. You should have done it every time. That's just you showing another failing for a time where Celtic couldn't get a group phase of European football. Like that just should never happen. But it's quite interesting when I read the comments. Obviously, Nicholson came out with a video as well. Said 3 members of staff were assaulted after a game. I think the cup final, again, that must have been related to hospitality, I would assume, because they would be the only people, I think, at Celtic Park after a game, unless, but I think there was maybe some other people there. Again, I've said on this podcast 100 times, obviously, do not assault any of these people. They're no worth getting to jail for. Absolutely not. Like, just do not do that whatsoever. But then, obviously, I started reading the comments to Lawwell's statement, and the kind of, even the Facebook kind of post, which is usually, that's usually the Peter and Dermot CSC, but the kind of consensus was, aye, that's good, take the rest of me and fuck off. Like, nobody seemed to care about the fact that he'd resigned due to this, like, abuse or threats. It just seemed to be just loads of people saying, aye, good, get to fuck. And I said on here maybe a few weeks ago that when it's all said and done, Peter Lawwell's legacy, where I'd say half the fans, is that people think he's a parasitical cunt. I think that was the words I used. And if you read most people on social media talking about him, they don't like him and they're delighted he's gone. See if you're leaving a post and people are celebrating it, that tells you that you've made a lot of mistakes. And I keep hearing even some kind of reasonable people going, oh, he's done just such an excellent job, but his time's kind of been and gone. I'm going, has he? And this other thing, we've dominated this century. And you go, well, wait a minute. When Lawwell came in, I think maybe 03, 04, or maybe it was 04, 05. No, I think it was 2003. Like, before Rangers went bust, he overseen 3 in a row for Rangers when they were just about to go bankrupt. This even going back to the 08-09 season when they signed Stephen Fletcher, cost us the title. Tony Mowbray, unmitigated disaster, won fuck all that year. Then Lennon, to be fair, that was a decent season, but fucked the league at the end of it. Then Rangers went bust. And then you had a couple of seasons where we couldn't dominate domestically. We couldn't sweep up all the trophies. There was banners covering seats in the top stand because we couldn't convince fans to buy the season tickets. We had the Dyla years, which were pretty pish. Let's be honest about it. Couldn't win it. So Rangers were out the league for 4 titles. Now, that's not Peter Lawwell's fault, but those missed Champions League campaigns under Dyler, no strengthening the squad, no being able to convince people to come and watch Celtic during that period of time, that's got to fall on the CEO. And then Brendan Rodgers, Brendan Rodgers ended up walking out. Well, Peter Lawwell was the CEO and he gave the job to Neil Lennon. So, look, I could go on and on to this idea that he was this magical Celtic man that done all these fantastic things. I just don't buy that. I think he's always been seen as quite a divisive figure, and he leaves a divisive figure, and I'm fucking delighted he's leaving. That's just my kind of opinion on it. Like, people will be giving it, oh, well, it's just the same because it's Brian Wilson. Brian Wilson isn't the bogeyman among Celtic fans. Peter Lawwell has been. And I said before, I don't know if that was right or wrong when he was a chairman, but I think the lasting memory of Peter Lawwell will be that AGM where his response to the fans was, well, behave, to defend Desmond's wee boy. And I think a lot of people remember that and go, what an arsehole. A lot of people just didn't like that. There was no need for it. And then people go, oh, you need to condemn this and condemn this. See, if I had to condemn every time a Celtic fan done something wrong, I wouldn't have time to do anything else. So I guess, look, after this, my plan's to never mention Peter Lawwell again. He can hold me to that. Unsure if I'll manage. But if people say, oh, you need to say this, you need to say that. Look, here's my kind of lasting point on Peter Lawwell. I care about Peter Lawwell as much as he cares about me, which is fuck all. So I don't care about Peter Lawwell. That's it. I'm not going to condemn anything because I'm not responsible for anything. So we've never told anybody to threaten him. We don't want him to be threatened. We wanted him to leave the football club because we seen him as someone that was doing damage to the football club, and that's it. That's the opinion on him. So for me, delighted he's gone. I'm sure a lot of other fans are of the same kind of vein. But obviously he stands down and then the media just goes into absolute fucking overdrive. And I think it was something on Tom English says that the collective slogan of one down, more to go was sinister. I don't think it is. I think it means, right, we've removed one person we want to remove. We're going to push on to continue to have others removed. Again, I don't remember the collective ever saying, let's threaten people out the positions. That's never been a collective point. I think it's the idea of, and I think what'll happen, you'll see Nicholson and Mackay go as well, but it'll be the same kind of stuff. It'll come out, it'll be threats and abuse without any real context given. And then obviously Peter, Michael and Chrissy's useful idiots will say, oh, this is disgraceful and this is all the collective's fault and people in the collective have caused this. As opposed to, if Michael Nicholson and Chris Mackay resign, then surely they could just come out and say, look, we've resigned because we've been absolutely shite and we've made our up-rown cunt of things and we've tore the fan base apart, we've tore the squad apart, and we're not very good at our jobs and we're sorry. That's what they should say. But I think when that time comes, it'll be the fans. It's just odd into the fans. So I listened to a guy who went on Sports Sound. One of you sent me the clips of the guy that went on and basically tore them apart for their nonsense about sinister this and sinister that. What has been extremely sinister by the media this week is that somebody pointed at the Celtic board at the Dundee United game, and the media, all sorts of media, have ran with the idea that he was pointing a bladed weapon, which isn't true. It's just his finger. I think it's just the way the image is. I think it's a Polish handcuff that kind of makes it look like a blade. But the idea that, that people think that Celtic fans are carrying blades to the game, moving the Polish out the way to then brandish said blade at the board, it's just absolute madness. And, everybody knows that image is fake. And I still seen articles this morning about it. And I didn't see Celtic saying, maybe we should come out, even though this fan's giving us it tight here. This is a lie, this is a fabrication about our fan base. We should come out and say, look, this is not true. But they're obviously in no rush to do that because it doesn't suit them. It suits them for people to stay Oh, that fan brandished a knife at the board. And that story's already out there, so even when there is a correction, which will come, it's too late. The story's already been published by so many people that in years to come, maybe fans of other teams will say, "I will use brandished a blade at your board," even though it's not true. The kind of seed's already been planted. So for me, I think that's very sinister. I think that's trying to, again, kind of put everything on the fans. And the truth of the matter is, these people should be removed because they're useless. It's nothing to do with threats or whatever else. Like Peter Lawwell should have said, "I'm resigning because I've been pish. I was a pish chairman. I couldn't chair a meeting. I called it within fucking 3 minutes and then I resumed it and then called it within another 3 minutes after I let Ross Desmond tear the support apart." So that's, look, at the end of the day, he's gone he's going to go for Celtic. It'll be a great thing for us, I think. I'm just fed up listening to a defence of the guy. It fucking bores me to tears. So yeah, the whole media thing, and there's obviously the articles about how good Peter Lawwell's been. And as I say, look, if I come on here every podcast and goes, "By the way, I'm excellent at talking shit about Celtic. I'm really good," and then just started going on about how good I was, I would suggest that I'm probably not very good. And I'm trying. Who are you trying to convince? Probably trying to convince yourself more than anybody. Just to add, I know I talk a lot of shit on here before anybody comments. But fuck, I've not even got to the first game yet, and I think we're about 10 minutes in. So I just thought that the whole media stuff, guys like Tom English and Michael Stewart, I mean, fuck off. I mean, the Celtic fans don't listen to these guys and take their opinion as like fact. So it was good to see Tom English getting taken down, and I think he had to backtrack on a couple of things in relation to Jeanette Finlay as well. And I think she had a go at him online. I think he was only sent a snippet of that on X. I've not actually went on and looked at it, but the idea, I think that's been the whole idea the whole time, is look, the collective are just a bunch of maniacs and that's it. And it's just not true. There's so many different people. I know fucking businessmen, etc., who all want Celtic out. It's just they all want the board out of Celtic. It's not just fucking ultras or whatever, but I think most people know that now. I think this whole kind of victim thing every 10 minutes, I don't think people are buying it. I don't think people care. I think people are that annoyed. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong to care or not about what the Celtic board are saying, but I think people are now that annoyed with the actions of them or inaction that they're just full steam ahead to go out, whatever, just want to leave the club. So Brian Wilson's the new chairman. I listened to his thing. He kind of says, we can kind of kick on this season, but we need the supporters. And I read that, or I listened to it, and I thought, no, we could have kicked on if you would just had a proper procedures in place for the transfer window in summer. But he's didn't. He's made a cunt of it. We get fucked out the Champions League, and we've been disarray ever since. So, no, I think it's in the board to fix this mess. And they could go a long way if the other people resign. Again, I think that's it. If you want to bring unity to Celtic, it's not going to come while these people are in charge. They need to resign. They need to. A resignation with an apology for the failings would go a long way, but I think that's a long way away. I don't think they'll ever apologise to the Celtic fans. In terms of the Dundee United game, should have won, should have been out of sight, but as soon as we bit of adversity, we just fell apart. I actually predicted a draw on here, but I didn't think we would get beat, but just a disaster for Nancy, and obviously a lot of fans were singing for him to get to fuck. I felt a bit sorry for him when that happened, and I was honest with it. If I was there, I wouldn't do it, but if you think I'm going to come on here and criticise the people that have paid money on a Wednesday to go up to Tannadice in the freezing cold to watch us get beat off a team that hadn't won about 10 games, then you're sadly mistaken. I think the away fans are entitled to sing whatever they want, but just for me, my focus would have been on the likes of Mackay and Nicholson. I remember Mackay about taking pictures of the fans. I mean, no, that way you're going, apparently there's a PR team that's helping them, and I'm going, holy fuck, man, you need to sack them as well. Just very strange behaviour for Chris Mackay, but I'm trying to think. Obviously, the Days game, I think there was a demonstration before it. Actually, I know there was, but again, I'm fully ahead with the boycott stuff, so I'm not at Celtic Park. Dan, I think you were there. You can probably give us more information on it. And I didn't really see much of the game today. I was busy doing kind of Christmas stuff, but for what I've seen, obviously well-deserved winners. And I think one thing you can say about Wilfred Nancy, he's been quite unlucky. You could probably look at the first game against Hearts, he made a chance. The cup final in the actual and made a missed chances to put us ahead. And then the Dundee United just should boot a sight. Kenny, just absolutely garbage. And then the day should have been 5-6-0 up before Aberdeen equalised. So he's been a wee bit unlucky there. But it leaves us in just a very strange spot. Hearts beat Rangers. We beat Aberdeen, and I guess, look, I don't think we'll win the league, but we're very much still in a title race. We're very much still in the midst of absolute chaos in terms of the fan opinion. I'm told Parkhead, or Celtic Park, sorry, is just a total morgue just now. The ultras are still indefinitely banned. Like, it just all feels a bit weird. And again, I need to be honest, like, when Tierney scores, it's not as if I'm bouncing up and celebrating. I still feel so detached for it. And obviously I don't want that. I want to kind of become kind of back attached to it again and kind of really behind Celtic, but just for Dermot Desmond is still there, and the likes of Nicholson and Mackay, and even the guy Hargreaves. I don't know why he's getting taken up to Dundee, a guy's head of security, and some of the pictures of him looking at the fans, my God, if it fucking looks good kill. It's such a strange kind of atmosphere surrounding the club. When I guess, look, I'm delighted Nancy gets first win, but I will say this: see, when the fans shout for you to get to fuck, nobody really comes back for that, because I win the day, everybody calms down. But if there's a bit of adversity at Livy or Motherwell, which is going to be a cunt of game, the chance can start up very quickly. And I think a lot of people have decided they just want Martin O'Neill back. Is I guess a lot of people kind of seen that coming, because O'Neill had done so well that eventually, I say, fucking, if Nancy picked his nose, then people would want O'Neill back. But the issue is he's not been able to pick a fucking team, so I can see why people wanted O'Neill back. But yes, overall, glad Peter Lawwell has left. The media are wankers. Some of your fan base are wankers. Aye, don't threaten or try to attack Celtic members of staff, because they're not worth it.
Definitely, that's always the message we would send. As we say, these people only worth doing time for or getting your door booted in for, so whatever's happening on the pitch, don't let it ruin your life off the pitch as well. Andy, what about you? As Tony's went on there, it's been a bit of a hectic week on and off the park. What's your sort of thoughts been on the last few days?
Aye, as Tony said, there's quite a lot to cover and go through, so I'll no rehash too much old ground. Completely agree on Law. Like, listen, he had to go, he should never have came back. I mean, I think even the first time round, people were delighted that he was gone. I was one of them. The conversations were had on here. And that should have been it, but no, inevitably, and the wonderful people that lead the football club thought it'd be a great idea to bring him back. And as Tony says, he was that boogeyman. He did, see whether he did or he didn't. It ultimately didn't matter, because he's no the type of guy that's geeing up that sort of that's going to effectively become under the chairman again. Like, he held that position. Now we're supposed to believe that he's no got the same influence and all that, but yet that wee shitebag Nicholson's putting him at the forefront to host the AGM because he doesn't fancy it, because he's just a terrible public speaker, which is a fucking hilarious thing to have when you're the chairman of the biggest club in the country. But there you go. So fucking delighted he's gone. And again, everything on it, I echo exactly what Tony says. And they're really no worth staying time for. They're really no worth having Polis booting your door in at 6 o'clock in the morning trying to charge you with breach of the peace because you've fucking called one of them a scumbag to his face or whatever fucking nonsense they're trying to pin on people now. The whole knife thing, it really sums up the gutter press, the club. I mean, that's just a small fraction of the stuff that we've been talking about. The club no defending fans when they're on the continent and in Europe, the club no defending fans when UEFA are making up any old shite to hammer the club wheel. It's the same shite, and that just extends to even now, like, fans getting fucking hammered for something that, let's be honest, anybody capable of a fucking smidgen of critical thought knew that, wait a minute, there's about 15 fucking Polis in that line. They would really believe he's almost resting his arm in the fucking guy's shoulder with a blade in his hand. Obviously no. And I mean, that's before you zoom into the photo and realise how fucking stupid you are for thinking it. But I think every paper in the country was running with it. Fucking every time I refreshed a social media feed, that was the headline news. Fucking Glasgow Live, fuck knows who, they were all running with a story, and they're almost disappointed that it's not the case, and it's the same people absolutely riding the board, and like, these people are disappointed that somebody's not doing that, because they don't think they should come out and apologise. They've the intention of coming out and apologising, but it makes them feel fucking stupid, which is exactly what they are. Aye, stuff like that, and it's some Celtic Cup, like, any chance, any opportunity they've ever had to buy themselves goodwill, they're totally tone deaf to it, and it's been said a million times on here. Whoever the fuck they have hired for their PR is just, I mean, that sums up the hiring process at Celtic, because at this stage they're in contention for the fucking worst signing of the season, and believe me, there's a lot of them, as we all watch every fucking week. So, it's just fucking mental stuff. But this is, like, the relationship's gone, and you're no repairing that. Like, the fans of the club will outlast them. The reality is they need to quite very quickly realise that things won't get back to normal while they're in place. That's it. There's too much water under the bridge now. They've let it go on too long, and they've showed their hand. Like, we said it for long enough. They fucking hate us, and they've proven that to be the case. And I think, like, you see it, the movement, it's grown and grown and grown because the board have shown their hand. Like, and they do nothing to convince anybody otherwise. It's very much batting down the hatches. We're right, user all rang, fuck off. So it's just, it really is crazy stuff. And I think a lot of what Tony says in terms of the feeling that we get and people that were there the day, and I'm sure Merrill came out about it, but I thought Paul Quigley, when he was making the speech, when he was obviously one of the people that were making a speech to the crowd today and talking about things, and something that he touched on is something we've spoken about on here, and I think Tony's mentioned it quite a bit, is that sort of joy of supporting Celtic's been sucked at the club a bit, because I've never felt so detached for the club. I've never felt the club no being the same one that I grew up to learn about and love and understand, and sort of really have that feeling and that connection towards them, and that's been totally sucked out because a lot of the meaning of what the club is been taken away, and it's been taken away by these fucking people in a boardroom. It's been like they're nothing like us. They're not like you and I. They've no skint themselves trying to go to games and getting buses fucking stupid a cloak to getting back for Dingwall at stupid a cloak to get up for work the next day. Like, they've never done any of this, and they would never do any of this. They're no out like the boys in the Green Brigade and the boys fucking busting our arse off to raise money for charities and getting food drives organised and like, all this work that people do, but because it's part of the identity of the club. It's why the club was initially founded. Like, these people have no connection to that, none whatsoever. They're there because we've made them millionaires. That's why they claim to be Celtic fans. Peter Lawwell, I seen somebody branding numbers about the other day, and I don't know the exact figure, but somebody was saying it was north of £20 million he's took out of Celtic since being involved with the club. Now, whether that's bang on the money or not, it's in the millions, and that's fucking crazy. Like, the salaries these people and the bonuses these people are on are fucking obscene, and it's for continual European failure. And that's why people are so pissed off. But hi, to try and get back to the football, I was saying to myself I wasn't going to go after a tangent. I've done it, but I don't know how to feel for Nancy at times. Sometimes I think just fucking, like, you can only play with the deck you've got. Stop trying to be smart about it and playing fullbacks as 2 of your 3 centre halves, and like just adjust and try and get to January or get players back for injury and all the rest of it. And again, like Dundee United, we should have had the game wrapped up in the first half, I suppose. And these teams, they adjusted, and then we didn't respond. They sort of put two forwards and put them wide and put us under pressure, and we really, after they made that tactical switch, we just didn't have a response to it. We didn't alter how we were going to play, and the second half was a totally different game. It was like watching a completely different Celtic team, and they were probably deserving of getting their goal, to be honest, with their performance in the second half. I don't know about shouts. Listen, I'm with Tony. Like, people have fucking paid their money and travelled and all the rest of it. People can say and sing whatever the fuck they want, and I always find it funny. I've seen people on right away determined to bash it as if the collective fucking sit there at the front of an away day dictating what people sing and what they don't sing, and it's the same irony that people talk about when they're moaning about the Green Brigade and the boys and stuff like that. Look, they're expecting everybody to do it for them, and then they're moaning when they don't sing something they want to sing, or the day sings. Like, it's just fucking made up nonsense, and I think people have just lost their run of themselves, to be totally honest. But I think it was a difficult result and a difficult game, and you feel that pressure mounting. And also, probably they agree a wee bit with what Tony says. I think, to be honest, the length of time that it all went and the results O'Neill was getting, I think, like, Nancy had a fucking cunt of a job at the bait. Like, coming in after that into the run of games that he had was scandalous. It was a fucking difficult run of games, and listen, if that all goes well, brilliant. But it was just, with the squad we had, it just wasn't the right decision. It wasn't the right decision to put him in that, because I do agree that the minute anything goes wrong, people are going to revert to that, and we've all seen it before. People are always desperate to be and giving it a I told you so. I tell you this would happen. I tell you, and listen, that's the nature of the beast. That's football, and that's football up here especially. But I don't know if he'll ever get that sort of full trust and backing for people, because I just think when that happens, it's just that sort of always overhangs. But again, comes back to the people that fucking put him in this position, I guess. We've been buying that drum for long enough. But again, on to the day, I was delighted for him. I think he deserves it. I think you were seeing it weighing on him, and like, it's the same with the fucking gutter press. Like, the board have taken anybody that would give him some support in a pre-post-match press conference, wherever. The board took that away when they removed fan media, and they've left him in there with the fucking vultures in the press who are looking for anything to fuck into a headline and hammer him, and that's what they were doing. The questions he was getting, all that nonsense, like that. Some of that could have been circumvented by having some. Listen, Tony Devol will always ask some difficult questions, but they're always looking out for the best, and they would never. It's no the same type of questions that you're going to get for gutter media and journals who are just out to make a quick buck selling a story to fucking rags like the Sun and the Record and all the rest of it. And again, so he was getting hammered, and I want Celtic to win, because I want Celtic to win, but I also wanted him to just get that victory and really just sort of kick on for there, and if he can prove the doubters wrong, by all means. My jury's maybe still out on him. I think it's like anything, it's a fucking thankless task right now, and it's a difficult task with the squad we've got, because it's a mess, and it's one of the worst squads I've seen at Celtic, and the whole time I've been alive, to be honest. So I'm kind of, sometimes I'm thinking, give him to January, see what he can bring in, but then again, that might be too late, so I don't know. But I was delighted for him to get the win. I thought we played well in spells. I think seen somebody earlier on saying the XG was fucking mental. It was like nearly 5 or something, so I'm sure the stat heads amongst people will be fucking loving that. But again, it just shows the lack of quality, that we're creating so many chances and we just look a bit toothless in front of goal. But I'm no surprised, like between like Johnny Kenny and like McCowan, and just there's no really any goals in that team in any great number. They go down to 10 men obviously at half time, and I think really their only threat was that counter attack, and he gets away for Trusty, decent finish. Again, Trusty's just sort of like shows the frailties that we've got in the back line with that move. Somebody with a wee burst of pace and he was away. But listen, we've done something that we've struggled today and picked ourselves back up, whether it was against 10 men or no. We've been looking a bit fucking rotten recently, and Tierney pops up with a late on header. Great ball in for the boy Donovan. I thought that was an excellent cross. And then again, McGregor assists Forrest, and which was, again, I thought that was a really well taken goal. Thought it was well worked. So delighted, also delighted, which I'm sure many people are. I said this to use, that James Forrest has got his goal at this point, because I can't really be asked getting into the split, and Forrest is coming on constantly, and we're fucking doing everything we can to pass him the ball to get his goal. So he scored another season. So I was as delighted as everybody else with that. But it's just good to get another 3 points in the board and keep motoring. At the end of the day, everybody wants us to win. We all want us to win the league and just get out of the line and stay in it long enough and get down swinging if it won. And that's what we seem to be doing. And I really hope it all comes together for Nancy. I'm not sure if it will. As I say, the jury's still a bit out for me. I think he's partly it's probably because I know he'll not be getting the tools and he'll be fucking boxing with one arm time behind his back again, because that's the way we roll here. And I'm waiting on the whole. It's a really difficult window to work in January, but I'm sure we'll come on to all that at some point. But aye, Dan, I was more pleased for him to get the result, to get a positive one. Really pleased for the turnout the day again, to thank people for showing up and showing the board that this isn't going away. And again, if it only strengthens their resolve, believe me, it only strengthens fans' resolve to get the club back heading the direction that it should be. But aye, overall a successful day on the park and off the park for both the fans and the players, so delighted with that.
Aye, obviously sees us remain 6 points behind Hearts with a game in hand. Obviously that game in hand isn't a gimme. It's against Motherwell when we play a week on Tuesday, so it's obviously a tough game. But Danny, as Andy says there, is, I think like he's like myself, I was delighted for Nancy. I know, look, it was an absolutely awful start. It was a worst losing run since 1978, 4 defeats in a row. But for me, after that Dundee United game, and this isn't, much like the other two have said, it's no idea with the away fans. They've paid their money, can think what they want. But for me, too much of the abuse was going over the ball and directly for Nancy. And then there was even people who you seen videoing and taking pictures of him when he was out with his family, etc. So I was just really delighted for him that he got a bit of respite today, because it was a game, I think I heard on the radio on the way back from the game, that we had 31 shots, and it would have been, well, I think it would have been the most cursed man in history if we hadn't come out of that game with a win the day. What's your thoughts been on the last few days?
The last 2 weeks have just been mad. The season looked like you were ready to gear up when Rodgers left, and then O'Neill came in, steadied the ship, and then the last 2 weeks seems to have fell away again. But Wednesday night, I thought the first half was as good as we've played in a long time, and the second half was really poor, and it was as if the team can't perform after the second half, or after the first half even. And same thing happened in the cup final. It happened again on Wednesday, so it was a really disappointing collapse. Never looked like getting back into the game either after that. I know Maeda missed an open goal, but it wasn't like we were peppering the goalkeeper with shots. But the day, I thought they played quite well the day. I felt sorry for Nancy on Wednesday night when the fans started going towards him. I must admit, I think I did feel bad watching that. It was a bit thingy, and then as you say, when the guy's out taking his wins for dinner, his family, folk are getting after him, not saying why is it, and then you've got folk online saying, but you need to understand in Glasgow, you can't do that, and you're like, well, but can he go for dinner? Like, what kind of fucking world are we living in where folk can't just do basic things? Like, it's... Glasgow's a bit different from everywhere else, but folks should still be able to go for their dinner. Like, whether you're under pressure or no, and there's a total... Everybody wants to compare him to Russell Martin, and he'll be taking him to Loch Lomond soon and all that, and it's like, when Russell Martin was seen out and about with his missus after he left Rangers for that, how can he walk about? And you're like, because the guy's got to live like everybody else, like, it's fucking bizarre. But on the field, I thought the day they were quite good, really impressed. And some of the football that we've played in the last couple of games has been quite decent. I mean, the first half, the other night, the day for 90 minutes, the football was really good. We're just very frail at the back. I think we need a new goalkeeper. They either trust in Salo to put him in, or they sign a new goalkeeper in January, because Schmeichel should have saved that shot the day that went in under him. He gave the boy half the goal, and the boy still hit the arm, and it still went in. So I think Schmeichel's probably stayed a season too long. But the football was good going forward. Again, it's just showing up. It's kind of Rodgers' team. A lot boring to watch. Didn't create a lot of chances. Didn't take the chances we did create. And we needed a striker. Now we're creating hundreds of chances, and we can't score them. It's just showing up the same issue. It's just a different way to show up the same issue that's been there the whole season. I think Johnny Kenny's playing to get the manager sacked by the chances he's missing. And they're basic chances. I mean, 2 the other night and 1 the day, where all he's got to do is hit the ball properly and he scores. And he can't do that. And really you need a striker. But again, it was delighted for Nancy to get the win the day. I mean, he needed it. Christ knows he needed it. And again, but fans have already pegged him as this arrogant cunt, and he's a clown, he's incompetent, he's this, he's that. And I just think that it's a bit of a rush to judgment, and folk are, like, the guy doesn't speak English as a first language, and folk are nitpicking, like, absolutely everything he says in a press conference. And I've never really thought about that with a Celtic manager before. Like, I've never really seen that. What everything he says is getting absolutely micro-analysed until... You know, it's like, well, like, the guy is an arsehole. And like, folk were a wee bit more angry today at full time than they were any of the last 4 games, which was strange. But it's just been an up and down season. It's been quite fraught with anxiety, and it's been shite to this point. And to throw away a cup was really disappointing. It would have gave everybody a bit of a boost going into the second half of the season, but we just need to keep going. I mean, Hearts are 6 clear. Yeah, as I know we've got a game in home, but we need to go win that. And the day hopefully can be a bit of a start for just right, let's go and pick up more wins. But realistically, Nancy's got to win every game, probably till the end of the season to win a double. But it's all, again, we were saying that fair, it's all about the board day in January. I mean, the board have got us in this mess in the first place with their squads, with the lack of transfer activity in the summer, we're getting rid of the manager, getting Anil in, letting Anil stay maybe as long as they, you know, Anil's come out and said they wanted to stay on. They've got rid of him at a kind of difficult time. They brought this new guy in who, for all the talk of Celtic, I keep seeing Nancy doesn't know what he's got himself in for. He really doesn't know what it's all about at Celtic. But it seems to me that Celtic didn't know what Nancy was all about, because they brought him in knowing, surely they've brought him in knowing that he's going to play this system. He's got, you know, he's got his own philosophy. It's kind of on the board. It's like, you don't give a guy a job and say, right, we need to play this guy's tactics for the next 6 weeks until we see something. So, and they can redeem it slightly by backing the guy in January, getting proper players in that can play this system. We need a striker, screaming out for a striker, somebody can put the ball in the net. You can go for there. There's still, as Tony said, there's still a league to be going to go and win. So obviously the Scottish Cup as well, but the day was good. I was delighted for him to win. I still think they're a million miles away. He's almost got to win every game without anybody noticing, really. He's got to kind of go quietly quite well for the next maybe 2 or 3 months before folk get off his back. He's going to be another defeat at their trap points away for fans at the door screaming that he's got to go, and that some fans will just never take to him. I mean, some of the reactions for the game of the day proves that. So he's up against it, but this is the situation we're in. And again, the board have put us there, and don't really want to go real grunt for what Tony and Andy said about Peter Lawwell, but you know, it's funny that the last time he left Celtic was probably when the club was at its worst in an awful long time, and then it started to get good again and he came back as chairman, and then suddenly the club are in fucking deep darkest despair again, and he's off again. So we'll see if Nancy turns it around. He'll be back in 18 months doing something else, but the club need to look forward now. None of this fucking nonsense. You need to get somebody for you outside. None of this hiring for within. You need proper non-exec directors, non-exec chairman. You need people that are fucking aft. These are the business people, and you need to get them in. And again, Nicholson, just totally weak. Don't seem to hear anything from him. Like that thing with the guy with the blade at Tannadice, like that. I know stories like that help the board, right? But there's got to be a point where they're like, no, this is the reputation of your fucking support. This is the reputation of some guy who's fucking well within his rights. He's paid his money for his ticket. He's well within his rights to protest. And they seem to be quite happy for, I know you can't identify him, but they're quite happy for somebody to be fucking slandered all over national media. And when that gets dropped, there'll be no fucking apology, and that'll be quietly fucking mentioned. There'll be about 6 words at the corner of a newspaper or a fucking article deep hidden somewhere on some news website about how it was all a waste of police time. You think the club would come out and say, actually, no, that didn't harm? That is clearly not the case, and actually defend the club. Don't do anything to build a relationship with the fans. It's bizarre. They don't do anything to make anything right. They don't try and build bridges with the fans. It seems to be it's our way or no way, and then their way is usually fucking ridiculous. They expect fans to just turn up, pay their money, clap the team on and off the park, and then go home. I don't know. It's bizarre. And then in January, we'll see what happens in January. They've got a lot of money to spend, and they've got a lot of deals to business to conclude. So we'll see what happens there. But I just on the fit, but I'm really happy that he got his win. Long way to go. But again, if you get somebody in the team that can put the ball in the net, we'd be winning these games more comfortably.
Aye, absolutely. After the protest today, I was heading towards my turnstile and actually seen Callum Osmond come through the players' car park, and I was just wondering how much of a difference he'd be making now, because he looks so much more instinctive and clinical than Johnny Kenny, who's sort of leading the line at the moment. And look, I'm not going to touch on Lawwell and that. I'm sure we could maybe do a spin-off to actually review his legacy, and if people want to hear that, let us know, and I'm sure it's something we can look into in the new year, because I think it's very much for the best that he's away from the club, and it has to be permanently this time as well. And it was of no surprise to me that he had to go with him and a few other board members having a go at the fans again. But that, as I say, that's probably for another time. But on the pitch, the Dundee United game it did look like it could be the last straw. The first half we were excellent, and we really should have been miles out of sight. Like, you had a great goal from Daiza Maeda early on, and then Johnny Kenny had so many misses, and it was really glaring misses. And for any sort of striker at a professional level, you're expected to take at least one of them, maybe two, and then in the space of 3 second half minutes, well, the game's just completely turned against us. And I suppose that would have been my main worry about that game, was we didn't seem to change it. And that's what you've seen, I think, at half time in the cup final. Stephen Robinson came out and says that they had identified that we were playing well down the left, so they tweaked something, and then got success in that second half, obviously. And then I think Goodwin says as well that they were struggling, their right back was struggling against us clearly, and they changed things, whereas we didn't change too much, which is a bit sort of familiar to the way we played with Ange, where plan B was day plan A better. But I couldn't believe we lost that game, even with the chances late on. Maeda heading against the post from about 2 yards out, and then I think Yamada put a chance wide, and then Nygren wasted a free kick late on. It was, I wouldn't have been surprised if I'd woke up Thursday and Nancy was gone. As Tony said, it's a long way back with the Celtic support, when the people that got them down the country following you, singing Martin O'Neill's name and singing for you to get to fuck. But they have persisted with him, and I was delighted for him, because I probably wouldn't have complained too much if he had been bagged on Thursday or Friday. But as I say, I think some of the abuse got too personal from outlets round about, and even some Celtic fans. But as Danny said, I think people are calling him arrogant and whatever, and entitled or whatever. We really ain't to base it on, and it remains to be seen, because I think he's just, the board brought him in, and the board, like, he's obviously told the board, this is what I'm going to do, I'm going to play this formation, and the board have sat there and thought, aye, you're either going to make us look brilliant that we've had this masterstroke to bring you in, or you're going to look like a fucking dumpling. And for the first 4 games it was the latter. But today, first half, just thought we were really good, and yet still missing more chances. I think Maeda missed one from about 3 yards out early on, Nygren missed one, McCowan had one tipped to her, and we finally did get the goal. And then no long after it, we go through, and a mistake from Mitov. It was probably his only mistake of the game, because I thought Mitov was brilliant for Aberdeen in goal today, and he makes a mistake obviously, and Maeda gets brought down. Don't think it's really up for debate. I heard some of the sports scene analysts and commentators were saying that they didn't think it was a red card, but for me it's pretty apparent. There's contact, and Maeda's rushing through, and I think it is a clear goal scoring opportunity. And people round about me, myself included, were saying we might have been better off with a goal there, because we've just been failing to kill teams off recently, but that first 5-10 minutes of the second half's quite unbelievable in terms of how many chances we had and how many times the post and the bar were hit. It was quite unbelievable that we were only 4-0 up by the 60th minute, and that's the one thing, like, I think you can still have the right to defend the manager by saying he's not the one missing these chances. There's obviously so many players on that part that probably aren't good enough for Celtic long term if we want to really progress, but the one thing you can point out is Aberdeen didn't have much in the second half, but the one time they did break through us, it was sort of one move, one simple ball in behind our centre half, so that's maybe more on the formation, and it's easily put away. If Schmeichel is a one-on-one, you could probably expect him to do better when he's got a touch on it, but I just worried, like, I know there was 15 minutes or whatever to go, but it just felt like, as I say, it felt like Nancy was a bit cussed, and I don't know how much the atmosphere would have turned, but I felt like it didn't turn in that moment. Like, the supporters that were there, like, look, don't get me wrong, the atmosphere's not been great since the Green Brigade haven't been there, but I thought in terms of sticking with the team, most of the crowd were there and kept with him, and it was like a sort of advert for the Celtic Pools, the final 2 goals, because it's obviously Donovan puts in a great ball and Tierney heads it in, and then in injury time you've got Cal McGregor who lays one off to James Forrest, who scores for the 17th consecutive season, so obviously brilliant in that regard, and great to see it, because at 2-1 we just kept going for it, and I think that's going to be the way with this team. We're going to score a lot of goals and we deserved it. Obviously made hard work of it, but it was a sort of must-win game, and the manager's got that win. He's now, like, I know it's Christmas and the players will have a day or two off, but he's now got that full week before the Livingston game where he can maybe work on a few more things on the training pitch with them, and they can have that rest day and then still have a full day on the training pitch where he can maybe get some of his ideas across. And Tony, I'll come to you just as we take a quick look to that Livy game. I says in one of your group chats yesterday, it reminds me a bit of the first season that Rodgers came back for his second spell when he'd lost 8 games to Hearts and Kilmarnock, where he had that busy spell at Christmas that had the Rangers game in, I think it was St Mirren away and maybe Livy at home as well, where he was being doubted at that time, and similar to Nancy, I think the only thing he can sort of do to get through this, and as you say, it's a long way back for him, but all he can do is just win these games, and it'd probably go a bit of a way to do that if he was able to get wins at Livy, Motherwell and then that Rangers game in the third.
Aye, but let's not compare Nancy to the Saudi Prince, invincible treble winner. Obviously we wish Brendan all the best. I'm sure half the people listening to this will be going, fuck up, he's a rat. But just wait till he takes Callum McGregor with him. Yeah, look, Nancy needs to, let's be honest, he needs to beat Rangers, because if he was to beat Livy, draw with Motherwell, but beat Rangers, that'll buy him a lot of time. We know that, that's how it works. But yeah, look, I want to work for the guy, and I don't see him as this kind of arrogant Frenchman. It's just not the way I see it. I don't think he's this bad guy, and the way people turned on him so quick was bonkers to me. It was like the faithful through and through mob had just fucking lost the plot. But I've seen, as you say, Dan, some of the stuff I've seen has been absolutely appalling, like just really bizarre, like kind of like memes of him on like immigrant dinghy boats, and I'm going, come on to fuck, like you're doing the work of other fan bases there with absolute garbage part like that. So, but I can't say it surprised me. I did think stuff like that would happen when he signed, and I think we all said as much in our group chats, and that's just out of order. There's absolutely no need for that kind of stuff. So for me, I'm not really against him at all. I'm not going to fucking defend him to the hilt, because I've not seen enough to do that. I've seen enough to say he should be sacked so far, but I think his teams create a lot of chances, but he concedes a lot of chances because his style's a bit fucking mental and we don't have particularly good players. But look, Nicholson came out and says they were going to back him in January and in the summer. So if that seems to be the plan, irrespective of keeping William Nancy, fucking hell, William Nancy, Jesus Christ, that sounds like somebody for the Shanko. Sorry, Wilfred Nancy for January at least. So I hope that they have got some kind of plan in place in terms of transfers. I don't know if they do or not. I sincerely hope they do. And then you just need to spend the money and hopefully identify the correct players to play system and see what it gets you. Like, for as bad as we've been this, and he's just text saying Billy Nancy. I don't know where I get Willie Nancy from. I just don't really have much faith in this guy Tisdale, who's apparently on holiday. Again, was apparently assaulted after a game. I mean, I don't really understand that at all. Why you would pick Paul Tisdale to lamp. Again, he's probably somebody I wouldn't know if I walked past him in the street. Just really just bizarre. But yeah, look, all it takes is if Livy are 1-0 up with 5 minutes to go or 2-0 up. I know that I'm saying that'll happen. You're going to hear people shouting for him to get to fuck. And you remember the way it was with Russell Martin. Like they scored their last minute winner under him, and the first song was Martin Get to Fuck. Like it happened with us at St Mirren, the first song was Sack the Board after a late winner, so that's when you know you're kind of past the point of no return. I hope we're not at that yet with Nancy, because it's only 5 games in. It was a dreadful start, get a good win the day, can he kick on, and because that's not going to be helpful if the club just decide they're just going to stick with him and the fan base just decide that he's done. No, I must be honest. I think that is it's going to probably keep going like that. Like we could beat Livy. They're bottom of the table and pretty poor, but Motherwell away, I wouldn't be backing us there. So yeah, it's going to drop more points. That's the truth of the matter. So. But I don't entirely blame him. I think the players have been shambolic and really, really poor. But I've already said that I think they are bad players, so he needs to try and find solutions. But there was a point I wanted to raise when people keep saying this, "Oh, definitely the best squad in the country." And see, when you look at the players starting for us, like would other teams in the country want Ralston? I don't know if anybody would take him. Did anybody want Schmeichel? Don't think so. Did anybody want Scales? Maybe a couple. Would anybody want Yang? Maybe a couple. Would anybody want Kenny? Probably no. So as much as people say, oh, should be doing better with what he's got, like he's got a bag of shite. Don't get me wrong, he's been getting shite results, but I just hope he can win. Look, but my hope is he wins the next few, beats Rangers, and then we just fully back his system and we just fucking go for it. Because if we win our game in hand, we're only 3 points behind Tarts. As much as they've already beaten Celtic and Rangers home and away, they did have that blip that means they're no a million miles ahead of Celtic. So you've still got a chance at the title, which is just fucking mental to me, just because of how much disarray this first half of the season's been. It's just been constant negativity, but yeah, we're still in my shout at the title, mostly due to kind of late goals. But I think, look, he's obviously got to keep playing his style of play. I think defensively, it's fucking ropey, but that's not a major surprise. He has dropped Liam Scales, but again, playing Anthony Ralston, though the cross Donovan put in the day was class, so I wouldn't be against giving Donovan a bash, but again, or maybe Simpson Pusey, or I was going to say Anamura, but I'd just be fucking lying. I don't know anything about Anamura. I don't know if he'd be good or no, but maybe try something instead of Ralston, because he's just not a particularly good player. I'm actually quite looking forward to the games under him, because I don't have a fucking clue what to expect, and when the team lineup gets announced, I just kind of look at it and go, haven't a bastard clue where anybody is, but kind of looking forward to seeing where it goes. So, you want a Livy prediction?
Aye, go for it.
Can't mind the last time I predicted Celtic to win on here. I think it was Dundee. I predicted 5-0. It was only 1-0. I'll go for 1-0 Celtic, and Dyson made it. Let's go.
You know, Andy, what about you? Are you feeling confident for this Livy game? Obviously, as I said, they've got a full week to prepare for it. Might give the team a bit more a chance on the training field to buy into the new methods that we're doing, but as Tony said as well, we're up against a team that are bottom of the league, so I think we'll have 7,000 away fans there as well, so it'll pretty much feel like a home game as well. But as I said on here last week, better Celtic managers than Nancy have struggled at Livy. What are you expecting from it?
You're true. What you say there's true, obviously. We've had a few difficult games there. We know what to expect, the pitch, the team, the way they'll set up, all that shit. I don't need to sort of rehash all ground. I suppose if you've got to look at, sort of take a step back and look at it, it's having an hour week with the players, time in the training ground. Like, you've got to give any manager the respect that's just come in to say, okay, like, now you've got that time, let's show us what you're working with, let's show us what you can do. So hopefully the players can get a better understanding of what it is they're being asked to do, and hopefully get an improved performance. I mean, they'll listen, whatever it is, they'll take confidence for that result of the day. They'll take confidence for the fact there'll be, as you say, 7,000 or circa 7,000 Celtic fans there. They'll take confidence for all that. They'll take confidence for the fact they're creating chances. Maybe no Johnny Kenny, because I don't know what's going on with him. He's got his boots in the wrong feet, I think. But creating chances is something, because they're going to, just in the balance of probability, start getting in at some stage. So I think the makings are there for us to score a lot of goals. Defensively, Disney Buff will be worth thinking about the minute. That'll give you sleepless nights. But I think the makings are there for us to score a lot of goals. And as you say, that can be enough just to see us through to the January window. And hopefully get the reinforcements that we need. But again, no hold my breath there. I think Livy are in a bit of a sorry state. I think they're one of the worst sort of teams in the league, as they tend to be, but they've not even really been as solid at the back this season as you sort of came to be accustomed to before they obviously get relegated. So I think we'll go and we'll win the game. I actually think it'll be fairly comfortable. I think we'll win 3-0. I think the players are creating enough chances, and I'm confident that they'll go there and they'll get a win after another sort of week in the training ground, as you say.
I would take that there. I was actually just checking the last 3 visits to the Tony Macaroni. We've actually won 3-0, so it wouldn't be a bad prediction. Danny, what about you? We've also, I mean, if you want to look at it positively, Hibs and Hearts are playing at lunchtime, so we'll be playing after them, and anything can happen in a derby. It's at Easter Road, so there's obviously a chance that we might be able to make up some of the distance on Hearts if Hibs were able to take it off them at lunchtime. Would you be expecting us to capitalise on that?
Hopefully. I mean, I don't want to get too ahead of myself. It's only been 1-1-5 and we badly needed it, but I didn't, the time to go on a winning runs now that we've won a game, so let's hope so. But I can see for Hearts, I watched the Hearts Rangers game the day before the Celtic game. I thought Hearts were much better than Rangers, and I don't think Hearts will be going anywhere soon. They're going to probably be up there for most of the season. If we don't start winning, then they're going to be above us, aren't they, until they get to the end of the season. So, a tough game for them, but irrespective of whether they win or no, I think we don't really need to worry about Hearts. And I don't mean that in terms of the fall away, but I mean is Celtic just need to worry about Celtic winning games, Nancy just needs to keep worrying about winning games. It's really got nothing to do with Hearts. So if Hearts go and win, there's more pressure on us to go win, but if Hearts don't win, then good, you've got a chance to pull it back a wee bit. So we'll see what happens, but I'm going to predict a 2-0 on Saturday. I don't think it'll be fast flowing attacking football. I don't think it'll be the performance of the season on a pitch like that, but I think we'll just get enough to get by. I don't think Livingston are up too much, and we'll get a good win, and then you can start looking at Motherwell, which I think will be a really tricky game.
Definitely will be. Obviously a third place Motherwell, so that'll be a tough game on Tuesday after that Livy game. But I think it's a sort of perfect game that you'd want this Saturday. Maybe at home we're doing better, but as I say, I think that Livy are low in confidence, get beaten Paisley at the weekend there. I think they've got 9 points all season, so they're no great shakes, but they'll just look to sort of stink out the place and frustrate us for as long as they possibly can. But I think with a few days on the training field, you'd like to think any sort of message that we're trying to get across will become maybe a wee bit clearer this week in terms of having a few clear days on the training field. And I don't know. I know Hatate wasn't in the squad already. Don't know if that's an injury or anything else, but be interested to see how we line up. I know, I don't know if Kenny can continue to play, because I just think he's been so poor. Maybe give Yamada a run. I know he hit the bar with the sort of last touch of the ball today with a header, but I quite fancy I'm going to go with Andy's prediction and go for a 3-0 win for Celtic as well. So I think all we can do is win at this point. And look, I wouldn't be surprised if Hibs scored something at Easter Road, and hopefully they beat Hearts, and then that would give us a chance. If we racked up the goals on Saturday, it would give us a chance to go top of the league at Fir Park on Tuesday, which would be quite mental and quite unthinkable a few days ago, but stranger things have happened in football. But I will try and be back before that Motherwell game, hopefully discussing a fantastic Celtic victory, previewing that tough game to Fir Park as we've alluded to. It will be after Christmas, so if these are taking the time to listen to this, we hope that you all do have a nice Christmas and share it and spend it with your loved ones. Appreciate everybody that's listened so far this season, and this is our gift to you, is this episode, so enjoy it. We're actually discussing a win for once, so that's something. As I say, we'll be back after that Livy game, and we'll preview that big Motherwell game where Celtic look to continue to try and get back on track. And then we've also got a transfer window coming up and a big derby game, so plenty to speak about in the next few weeks. But we'll speak to you later in the week. Cheers for listening. Hail, hail.